A relationship with a narcissist can be tumultuous, confusing, and emotionally draining. At times, they may seem charming or friendly, but their behavior often takes a darker turn, leaving you feeling confused or attacked. One confusing thing about dealing with a narcissist is that they can show anger or hatred for no obvious reason. Because these individuals have an inflated sense of their own importance and believe they are superior to others, their fragile self-esteem can become easily threatened when outside situations do not support the narratives they have about themselves. Their grandiose self-image requires constant reinforcement, and when this is challenged, they often react with hostility, anger, or hatred. The narcissist's worldview is deeply self-centered. They see others as either sources of admiration, which is narcissistic supply, or threats to their fragile ego. When you do not fulfill the narcissist's need for constant praise or admiration, or when you unintentionally expose their insecurities, they can become resentful and, over time, may develop feelings of hatred towards you. Recognizing this dynamic can help you to understand why narcissists behave in such a hostile manner, even when there appears to be no justifiable reason. One of the most common defense mechanisms used by narcissists is projection. Because their sense of self is so unstable, narcissists frequently project their own negative traits, emotions, or insecurities onto others. If a narcissist feels inadequate, insecure, or envious, they often accuse others of these very same feelings or behaviors. In this way, the narcissist externalizes blame and avoids taking responsibility for their own shortcomings. When you fail to meet their expectations, or when they perceive you as a threat to their self-image, they may begin to project their own negative qualities onto you, accusing you of being selfish, inconsiderate, or even envious, all the traits that they embody themselves. This process of projection allows them to preserve their grandiose self-image while shifting their deep-seated shame onto someone else. Over time, this distorted view can evolve into hatred, as the narcissist comes to see you as the embodiment of everything they despise about themselves. In many cases, their hatred for you is born out of envy. Narcissists often compare themselves to others, and when they perceive someone as more successful, attractive, or intelligent than they are, they feel threatened. Instead of acknowledging their own feelings of inadequacy, they may devalue the other person, often escalating this into open hostility. This form of hatred is rooted in their inability to tolerate the success or happiness of others, which they see as diminishing their own worth. Another reason why a narcissist may develop feelings of hatred toward you is when they experience what is known as a narcissistic injury. A narcissistic injury occurs when their self-esteem is hurt due to real or perceived criticism, rejection, or their own failures. Since they have a distorted sense of their own importance, any slight, however minor, can be perceived as a direct attack on their value as a person. In your interactions with a narcissist, simply expressing disagreement or asserting your own boundaries can trigger a narcissistic injury. Because they view themselves as superior, they expect others to comply with their demands or cater to their needs without question. When this expectation is not met, they feel humiliated, rejected, or insulted. This wound to their ego is often unbearable to them, and instead of processing their hurt feelings in a healthy way, they often lash out with anger, which can then turn into hatred. The narcissist can also hate you for qualities that they secretly envy. For instance, if you display emotional resilience, independence, or empathy, the narcissist might feel inferior by comparison, as these are traits that they lack. Rather than recognizing their own shortcomings, they can come to despise you for possessing the qualities that they don't have themselves. This form of hatred stems from their deep-seated insecurity and fear of being exposed as inadequate. Another defining characteristic of narcissists is their profound lack of empathy. They are unable or unwilling to understand or care about the feelings of others. Instead, they view people as tools to be used for their own benefit. This lack of empathy allows them to dehumanize those around them, seeing others as mere objects that exist solely to meet their needs. When someone no longer serves this purpose, or when they challenge the narcissist's authority or self-image, they can discard them without a second thought. This degrading of others often leads to feelings of contempt or hatred towards that person. Once the narcissist sees you as an object rather than a person, they feel justified in treating you poorly. If you resist their manipulation, assert your independence, or challenge their sense of superiority, the narcissist may see you as an obstacle to be overcome rather than as an individual with your own thoughts and emotions. This perception can fuel their hatred, as they view you as someone who is actively standing in the way of their desires. Furthermore, their inability to empathize means that they often fail to understand how their actions affect others. They may see their own anger, manipulation, or cruelty as justified, while completely ignoring the harm they inflict. This lack of accountability further reinforces their negative feelings toward you, as they convince themselves that you are the cause of their problems rather than recognizing their fault in the conflict. Narcissistic relationships often follow a predictable pattern of idealization, devaluation, and discard. At the start of the relationship, they idealize you, placing you on a pedestal and showering you with attention and praise. During this phase, they see you as an extension of themselves, someone who can enhance their self-image. However, as the relationship progresses, the narcissist begins to notice imperfections, flaws, or behaviors that challenge their idealized view of you. This is when the devaluation phase begins. During the devaluation phase, they become increasingly critical, dismissive, and hostile. They may belittle your achievements, undermine your confidence, or make you feel unworthy of their attention. This shift is often sudden and baffling, leaving you wondering what you did to deserve such treatment. The truth is, you did nothing wrong. The devaluation occurs because the narcissist's unrealistic expectations were bound to be disappointed. As they devalue you, their feelings of resentment and hatred grow. You are no longer the perfect source of admiration they once thought you were, and in their eyes, you have failed them. This disappointment fuels their animosity, as they cannot tolerate the idea that you are a flawed, independent person rather than an extension of their grandiose self. Their hatred towards you is not rooted in who you are, but in the distorted lens through which they see the world. Their fragile self-esteem, reliance on projection, fear of narcissistic injury, and lack of empathy all contribute to the development of resentment. The narcissist's inability to accept their own vulnerabilities means that anyone who challenges their carefully constructed self-image then becomes a threat to their delusional, grandiose narratives. Their hatred is a reflection of their own internal struggles, which they project onto those around them. By understanding all this, it becomes clear that the narcissist's hatred is not about you, but about their own unresolved insecurities and their insatiable need for control. If you enjoyed this video and it was helpful to you in any way, please support us by liking this video, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. Thank you.